All right, we're back down here for day 4 of our finishing. All right, so we're going to talk about the proper way to sand. 4 things here. 2 of them are almost identical, and they are the taper joint, your butt joints, your inside corners, and your screws that you patch. So I'm just going to let Tom talk about each one of those. We're not going to be running the camera for the whole sanding project, obviously, but you know, what do you got to say about sanding, Tom?
When you're sanding, if you got a nice sanding sponge, fine grit, because if you put it on right, all you need is fine. The papers come in 220, 150. We're using 220, the fine. Sanding sponge, we're using the fine. When you're going through doing your sanding work, go by feel. Go by what you can see and go by what you can feel. Alright? I'm going to go across here. I'm hitting these. I'm like barely giving this any pressure. Done. Because we put it on right. It almost looks like paint. That's done. I call it go by Helen Keller style. Go by what you feel. You can almost sand with your eyes closed. As you're sanding your nail holes, don't neglect to hit the entire wall. Because like right here there's a little burr. Right here there's a blotch for some reason. Touch the whole wall with your sanding block. On these right here, the important thing you want to do is you want to bring the edges to make it look like a cloud. Like a dusty cloud. So I'm just rubbing. See that cloud effect where it all blurs together? That's done. Barely touching the center because it fills itself. Done. Going over here, I'm just turning the edge. That's mainly what I'm sanding is the edge.
So when you rub your hand on it, you don't feel anything anymore?
No, that's all I'm doing is going by feel. I know I got this little line here in the center. I'm going to go down and hit my nail hole. This one's a little thicker than the normal. Get those edges looking like a cloud. That's done. Okay, there I knocked off some burrs on the old drywall. Where you drop mud. Like that line right there, that's a thick line. Just make sure you hit the entire wall. Okay? Very, very light pressure. Turn your head into a cloud.
The one thing that you want to be conscious of too is you don't want to sand it all off.
No, that's what I'm saying. You just want to sand off absolutely what you have to, and that's it. And that's it.
Or you'll be putting mud back on again. So just get your edges real good. That's the big thing, Tom, I guess, the edges of the joints.
Where we feathered it out into. Now here I can feel I got one line in the center. This is the first of our butt joint. All right, hit that edge at the bottom. You have a little build-up mud. You can come back and hit that with a putty knife. But as soon as I got my edge looking like a cloud, I'm just going to come in here in a circular motion. I'm getting rid of that line. My line's gone. Circular motion over the whole thing. I'm going to give it a feel. Feels fantastic.
All right,
Except for here I feel a little line.
Okay.
So I'm going by feel, and this edge still needs it. I can feel that. Circular motions is best.
Yeah, if you rub in one direction back and forth, you'll leave raking marks in the mud. So.
Yeah, but that butt joint's done.
Yeah.
Now I'm just working myself across the wall. Like I said, don't hit the whole wall. Getting that edge to look like a cloud. Once you got that edge looking like a cloud, you can feel it's done. Here I can feel a line in the center. I feel a line over here. So it's going to ever so lightly get rid of those 2 lines. The line in the center, here I go. Big circular motion, so I feel it's gone.
Yeah, constantly be feeling behind your sanding block or your sandpaper, your pole, whatever. Your hand will tell you if it's done. All right, you want it to be as smooth as the drywall.
These are going out and then back in and cover that tape joint. You want to leave it. I can ever so slightly feel that it's going out and in, but you're never going to see that.
Right.
Because how we put joint compound in between.
You can't sand off your butt joints to feel flat because there is a bubble under there. Remember, we hit it with 24 inches of mud. So the worst thing you can do is try to keep sanding down your butt joints in the center to get rid of that little egg in the middle that you're going to feel ever so slightly, and do what's called burn your tape. And that's when you expose your drywall tape, and you've sanded so much mud off that you've exposed the tape again. You're going to have to go back at that point and put mud back on again, and it's going to cost you another day of sanding. So,
but if you get all your edges looking like a cloud, and make sure you hit the entire wall when you're sanding. Just for if there's any burrs, any places where you drop mud. It all comes out when you put the primer on. You'll see if you have any imperfections. And if you use a good primer, it'll even hide some of your imperfections, if there is any. A lot of times you go and put the primer on the drywall and you actually see a dent in the drywall that came from the factory that we didn't even see. So the truth of your sanding and your drywall work comes out in the primer. A corner is a little bit, it's basically the same thing. Here I got a bunch of burrs and imperfections here. When I do the corner, I'm gonna start out here. I'm gonna get that edge to look like a cloud. Once I get the edge looking like a cloud, there we go, there's that cloud effect where you know it's smooth. Now I'm just gonna barely come in here, up and down, and strike the corner so it looks square. That side is done, just go by feel. You can feel if you have any lines or ridges. This side of the sponge is actually hitting this side of the corner. So be careful that you don't burn out the tape in your corner.
right.
Once again, up and down, go by what it feels like. That's done. I'll open and get my edge into a cloud right here. There's my cloud edge. I'm just gonna barely go in these corners.
Now, what side of the sponge are you using there? You're using the square side.
I'm using, either side. You can use either side. They're both fine.
Okay.
This gets you right into the corners if need be, like for around stair work, to really take your time, like at the very tops, you know what I mean, where it's a little wet. But basically what I'm saying is go by the feel of it. As soon as you know you got it feeling like a corner and there's no rough burrs, here's all kinds of ugly ridges, pock marks.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff sticking on the
That's
wall.
what I'm just saying, go by and hit the entire wall, but go by the feel.
All right, so nothing major here of, no brain power being used here at all. It's just basically feel, touchy-feely. Make sure you don't feel any rough edges on your joints and your nails and your screws.
Don't take off more than you have to.
Just
stop as soon as it feels good.
As soon as it feels good, stop sanding. The paint and the primer will cover the rest, all right?
Yeah, but actually, I like you build it up, you get good primer actually puts an 1/8 inch of something on your wall. That'll take care of the last little imperfections.
All right, so again, guys, sanding your drywall is not rocket science. No. Simple stuff. He's already got, in the time we've run this camera here, 5 minutes, he's already got a 20-foot section of wall done. All the tapered joints, all the butt joints, all the nail holes in about 5 minutes, all right? You shouldn't be sanding all day.
No.
All right, so just get it feeling good to the touch of your hand, all right? Run your hand over behind where you've sanded with your sponge and feel. If it feels good, it's done. Let it go. We've always had a practice where we get it feeling good with our hand, make it feel as best we can with our hand, and then we'll go ahead and prime our basement. And after we put the primer on, the primer will tell a story too. If there's any spots that we missed, we'll go back and we'll dot up our primed walls before we paint. And we'll fine tune it with the primer on the walls too. But so that's the usage of a sanding block. We've also purchased our sanding pole, which Tom will show us here in a second. You can use your sanding pole in your ceilings. You can also use your sanding pole on your long taper joints and also your butt joints as well. I mean, some guys use a sanding pole for everything.
Yeah, sanding pole has a swivel head on it.